Namasabhai, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. My topic of my research paper is an introduction to ancient Indian art and science of weaponry with reference to Srimad Mahabharatam. Before I begin my paper, I would like to thank the organizers of Sri Venkateshwara Vedic University for giving me this opportunity, and especially my guide, my mentor and fatherly figure, Dr. Rani Sadashimurthy sir, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you one and all. When it comes to the weaponry, possessing weapon, where are the roots? And from where we get this idea of getting the weapons? And what is the purpose of obtaining the or possessing the weapons? If we see our gods, let it be any god whom we worship, they all possess a particular kind of weapon, whether it is a female deity or a male deity. Why is it required? Whether in the ancient days or in the modern days. What is its need? It is just for protection, protecting oneself, protecting the society, and at large protecting the country. And this protection for Indians especially depends upon the dharma. It is protecting dharma from adharma. Now, what science is that? The ancient science that deals with this weaponry. For us Indians, let it be any topic, any subject, we either call it as Shastra or Vidya. And the roots is undoubtedly the Vedas. And for this weaponry also, the science of weaponry is dealt with Dhanurveda. And it is the Upaveda of Yajurveda. And by seeing the name Dhanurveda, people may think that it is confined to Dhanus, that is bow and arrows. But it is just a myth. Dhanurveda is a vast subject. It is a treatise on warfare and military sciences. It is not just confined to bow and archery. In a nutshell, it deals with the entire Yuddha Shastra. Where do we get the knowledge of this Dhanurveda or the weaponry? What is the source? The entire Sanskrit literature can be classified into two, Lakshana Granthas and Laksha Granthas. Lakshana Granthas are the Granthas that define any concept. Idam itham. So that's what the Lakshana Granthas say. And the Laksha Granthas are the literature written by any poet. It can be the poet being influenced by Lakshana Grantha, composing the Laksha Grantha, or vice versa. So, such Lakshana Granthas, there are many Lakshana Granthas, and some important are Kautilya's Arthashastra, Agni Puranam, Manusmriti, Kamandaka's Niti Shastra, Vachaspathyam, Amarakosha, etc. And if we see the Laksha Granthas, next slide, the target text. First it comes the Itihasas, the two Itihasas, that is Ramayana and Mahabharata. And in general, the literature on the whole, it can be a poet composing the Gadya Kavya, Padya Kavya, whatever it is, by getting inspired from Lakshana Granthas or vice versa. Similarly, there is also an interconnection between the society and the literature. If we observe in our day-to-day life, we are very much close to the literature. Irrespective of our professions, we have doctors here, scientists here, irrespective of our professions, we have a habit of reading the literature, enjoying by reading the literature. And why do we have that connection? Why do we like the literature? Even let it be watching a movie also. Why are we so connected? It is because the literature depicts whatever is happening in the society. This is the utmost connection that we human have with the literature. So, whatever is happening in this society is depicted in the literature. That's how we can get the information from the literature. Next slide. Now, in my paper, I have referred, though there are so many Lakshana Granthas, I have basically taken two main Granthas, that is Amarakosha and Agni Purana. Now, let us see what Amarakosha, what it tells about the weaponry. In a nutshell, in general, Amarakosha tells weapon, the word it gives is Ayudham. It also gives the etymology, Ayudhyante aneneti Ayudham. And this Ayudham, the weapon, is broadly classified into two, that is Astra and Shastra. What is the difference between Astra and Shastra? Astra is nothing but mantra yuktam yadasti tadastram. So whatever it is invoked and something which has a power by a supernatural deity, which is presided by a deity. And because it is imbued with a mantra, it is generally given in the parampara of Guru Sishya. A Guru chooses a student, a Sishya, depending upon the power of the Sishya, and then gives the mantra diksha to the Sishya. It is probably in Vedic Vishwavidyalayas, like this kind of Vishwavidyalayas, it used to happen. And the example of these astra is Brahmastram, Pashupatastram, Narayanastram, etc. There are so many such astras which have mantra, that is power in them. And then next is Shastra. Shastra is a normal weapon. When I say if it is a normal weapon, it is yet powerful. And that power depends upon the warrior or the soldier that uses it. Though it does not have any kind of mantra in it, still it can be supernatural. And examples are Parashu, Vajrayudham, Gada, etc. And these weapons are of two kinds. One is destructive and the other is non-destructive. Destructive is as used by a soldier or a warrior against the enemy to win over or to destroy the enemy, like Brahmastra, Pashupatastra, etc. And non-destructive are, next slide. Non-destructive weapons, sometimes these weapons are used as tools either to protect or to defend. So one such is, we can see arrows used by Arjuna in several occasions. In the Khandava Vana, he created an umbrella shaped through his arrows and satisfied God Agni. Similarly, the very popular story where we can see Banasaya or Sharasaya, where he makes Bhishma Pitamaha lie down until his death by using his arrows. So though here he used arrows, it is not to destroy someone. They are just non-destructive. Similarly, we have some dandas called Brahma dandas, which were only used by Brahmarshis like Vasishtha or Vishwamitra, and they have high energy, yet they were used only as defensive and non-destructive to protect themselves. And Amarakosha also gives a vast record of varieties of bows, that is Dhanuhu, Chapa, Dhanvaha, Sharasanam, Kodandam, Karmukam, Gandivaha, Ishwasaha. The commentary of Chiraswami also gives etymology. I didn't cover here because of the time concern. Otherwise, we can get the etymology of each and every weapon prescribed in Amarakosha. It also gives the details of varieties of arrows like Bana, Punkha, Shara, Kalamba, Margana, Ishu, Rupa, Prakshvedana. Can you zoom it a little? Khaga, Patri, etc. So these are the varieties of arrows. In the next slide. Yeah, there are some arrows which are made up of iron, Naracha and Prakshvedana, and there are some arrows which are smeared with either poison or oil or soil. Of those, Vishakta, Liptaka, Digdha are the popular one. Next slide. Amarakosha also gives the details of bowstrings, Maurvi, Jwa, Gunaha, and varieties of quivers where the soldiers place their arrows. Tuna, Upasanga, Nishanga, Ishudhi, Tuni, etc. And there is a term used for shower of arrows. If we see the serials in our childhood, Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana or Mahabharata, we can see at a time there were showers of arrows thrown on the enemies. It is not at all imagination. It happened in the history as Dr. Alladi sir was mentioning. These happened in our Bharata. Itihasa, nothing but history, it happened. So similarly, there is a word used for missile, that is Sharavya. And also Amarakosha also mentions varieties of swords, Khadga, which is made of iron, and Nistrimsha, which is very hard sword, and Chandrahasa made of silver, Asi. Then we have Rishti, a weapon with a pointed tip and which is also glittering. Then Kaksheka, a short sword with a curved blade that broadens towards the point. And then we have Mandalagra, which is a round pointed or a circular knife. Then Karavala, the flattish horny sword resembling a finger nail. Then Kripana. Then few other varieties of swords are Shastri, a dagger with one or two sharp edges. Then Asiputri, then Churika, then Asidhenuka, which are called as cleavers, a large knife that varies in its shape, but usually resembles a rectangle shape. Then Amarakosha also describes girdles or plank where these swords can be placed. That is Mekhala, Phalaka, Phala, Charma, Sangraha. Then apart from these bows and arrows and various swords, Amarakosha also gives the list of various other weapons like a hatchet Durgana, then Mudgara, which is like a hammer, then Ghana, it is a compact mass of a substance which is not in a regular shape. Then Ili and Karavalika, these are stick-shaped swords. And Bhindipala is a javelin kind. Then Shruga is a spear and is a long stabbing weapon which is made up of iron or steel. There are again various other weapons like iron maces, then axes like Kuthara, Swadhiti, these are axes, and Shalyam, Shanku, these are also a kind of spear or javelin. Then Sharvala and Tomar are again javelins made up of iron. Then Manthadandakara Shastra, which is like a churning stick. In Telugu we call Kavvamu, Perugu Chilikedi. So this kind of weapon is like Manthadandakara. And Prasa and Kunta are weapons consisting of a long shaft with a sharp steel head. Now, again, one more Lakshana Grantha which I referred was Agni Purana. Let us see what kind of weapons are described in Agni Purana. Agni Purana gives details of genres of warfare where it broadly classifies these weapons into Shastra Sampati and Astra Sampati. Again, Shastra is a normal weapon which is powerful, and Astra is a Mantra Yukta weapon. And further, it classifies as Rija Yuddha and Maya Yuddha. Rija Yuddha is a very natural one, Maya where magic happens. Then it gives 5 types of warfare based on the weaponry. This warfare, it describes based on the weapons used in the Yuddha. Yantra Mukta, which constitutes the Kshepani, that is, which can be thrown. For example, the javelins, bow and arrows, and Pani Mukta, which is used with throwing the stones, and Mukta Sandharitam is Pasha, Shula, etc. And Amuktam, where swords, maces are used, and Bahu Yuddham, this is a typical boxing kind of Yuddha. It is also called as Mushti Yuddham. And of these three, of these five, sir, next slide. The Yantra Mukta and Pani Mukta are considered as the best kind of the warfare, and the Mukta Sandharitam and Amuktam are the mediocre, and Bahu Yuddham is the least or mean category of Yuddha. Now, after referring these Lakshana Granthas, let us see how in Mahabharata this weaponry was used. Both the Astras and Shastras, how they were used. So, next slide. The first and foremost Astra is Brahmastra. It was a supreme weapon, and Parashurama, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Ashwathama and Kripacharya possessed the knowledge of this weapon. Arjuna used this Astra against Samsaptakas. Then next one is Brahma Shastram, created by Brahma. It was 4 times stronger than Brahmastra, and sage Agnivesha, Parashurama, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Arjuna and Ashwathama possessed the knowledge of this weapon. Then Sudarshana Chakra, it is a weapon of Lord Sri Krishna, used to kill Sishupala. And Pashupatastra, it was Lord Shiva's weapon, and only Arjuna possessed the knowledge of this weapon. Vasavi Shakti, it was Lord Indra's weapon gifted to Karna, and Karna used this to kill Ghatotkacha. Parshvapastra, it is such a weapon where it could cause the enemies fall into a sleep, so that they can kill the enemies easily. And Narayanastra, Lord Narayana's weapon, and would create showers of arrows and discs, and it could be used only once, it cannot be repeated. And when used, it creates Ekadasha Rudras, they appear in the sky and destroy the enemies. Drona has gifted this Astra to his son Ashwathama. Then Vijay Dhanush, Lord Shiva gave it to Lord Indra, and Lord Indra gave it to Karna. Karna used this against Arjuna on the 17th day of Kurukshetra war. Then Pinaka, the Astra of Lord Shiva, who gave it to Parashurama. Then Rudrastra, when used, it invokes the power of Rudra and destroys the target. And Arjuna was such a warrior that in my research I could see he possessed knowledge of many of these Astras. So here also Rudrastra, only Arjuna possessed the knowledge. And then again Nagastra, which was commonly used as a celestial weapon, and Karna and Arjuna possessed this. Then Vaishnavastra, Bhagadatta, Sri Krishna and Arjuna had this weapon, and Indrastra, Arjuna possessed this, Indra gave it to Arjuna. Then Vijayastra, Parashurama and Karna possessed this. Parashurama used this as his personal weapon. Then Kalaprishtam, it is Karna's personal bow. Agneyastra, weapon of Agni. When discharged, it emits flames which cannot be controlled. And Arjuna used it against Angaraparna, and who was a Gandharva. Then Varunastra, a celestial weapon of Varuna. When discharged, it gives a huge amount of water. It is usually used as a counter to Agneyastra, and Arjuna, Bhishma and Dronacharya possessed it. Then Bhaumastra, the celestial weapon of Bhumi. It could create tunnels deep into the earth, and Arjuna again possessed this. Manavastra, weapon of Manu, it could carry the target hundreds or thousands of yojanas away. And again, Arjuna possessed this. Bhargavastra, it is a celestial weapon of Parashurama, and Karna used this to counter the Indrastra. Then we have Garudastra. If we observe the names of all these astras, they have a deity, a particular deity, which owns that particular astra. Then it is commonly used to counter Nagastra, and again possessed by Arjuna. Shabdavedastra, it makes opponent invisible. Then Anjalikastra, a celestial weapon of Indra, and Arjuna used this to kill Karna in the Mahabharata war. Then Antardhanastra, it would make things or people totally disappear. Kubera gave it to Arjuna. Then Vayavyastra, a celestial weapon of Vayu. It brings about a gale capable of lifting armies of the ground, and Arjuna used it against Dronacharya. Then Maghavanastra, a celestial weapon of Indra, who gave it to Arjuna. Mohinyastra, celestial weapon of Mohini. It produces a mesmerizing song where people generally may get mesmerized, and enemies can take advantage of this. And Arjuna used this astra against the Niyata Kavachas. Then Tvastrastra, when it used again against the opponents, it would cause them mistake each other for enemies or friends, and then it brings out fight amongst each other. Again, only Arjuna possessed this. Then Sammohana or Pramohana Astra, this would cause the entire army's collapse. And Arjuna used this against the army of Kauravas during the Virata war. And again, in the Kurukshetra war, Drishtadryumna used it against Kauravas. Then Parvatastra, when it is released, a mountain will fall from the skies. Again, Arjuna possessed this. Then Prajnastra, it is a counter weapon to Sammohanastra. It used to restore the senses and thoughts of someone. So warriors like Arjuna and Drona possess this. Then Shailastra, it was used to make heavy winds disappear, was used as a counter to Vayavyastra. Sri Krishna and Arjuna possess this. Then Jyotikshastra, Arjuna again possesses this. It would brighten a dark area. Then Gandivam is the personal weapon of Arjuna. Even gods used to worship this weapon. And Sauparnastra, it is used to make heavy winds disappear. So used as a counter to Vayavyastra, and Sri Krishna and Arjuna possess this. Then Sauparnastra, it would release crazy birds against the enemies, and was used as a counter to Nagastra. And Vaishnava Dhanus or Sharanga Dhanu, a bow of Lord Vishnu, was used by Sri Krishna. And apart from these astras, there are again some other weapons like Pasha. Pasha is a kind of binding or a fetter. When released, it binds the enemies. It's a kind of net. So we have few Pashas. Next slide, please. Varuna Pasha, it is the noose of Varuna. It bears 7 loops capable of torturing the sinners. And again, Arjuna possesses this. Naga Pasha, it is a noose affiliated with the race of Naga. And poisonous snakes were released when it is used. And Arjuna again possesses this, and he obtained it from his wife Ulupi. Then there are other weapons like Vajrayudham, which Indra possessed, and he gave it to Arjuna. And Brahmadanda, as I already discussed this, it was used by Brahmarshis and used as a defensive weapon and not a destructive weapon. Next slide. And other again varieties of weapons like Kaumodaki is the divine mace of Lord Vishnu, that is Gada. And Lord Krishna slayed the demon Dantavakra with it. Then Nandaka is again a sacred sword of Lord Vishnu. It was used by Sri Krishna to kill countless demons. Next slide. Parashurama got this name because he used this weapon, and he got this weapon from Lord Shiva. And Visoshana, it is a desiccative weapon where Arjuna obtained it from Lord Indra. And Govardhana Dhanush, it was used by Vidura, given by Lord Vishnu. And many people may have a doubt that nuclear weapons are used only in the modern world. Now let us see whether they were used in Mahabharata. Of course they were used. Undoubtedly, those who read Mahabharata can say nuclear weapons were used in Mahabharata. Next slide. Brahmastra can be considered as the utmost nuclear weapon because it was invincible and a supreme weapon. It can be equated with a nuclear bomb, modern days nuclear bomb. And if it released, it could devastate the targeted land, making it barren now. All life on the earth could become extinct. So it can be considered as a nuclear weapon. Then Brahma Shastra also is a nuclear weapon, which was 4 times stronger than Brahmastra because it could annihilate the entire earth at a time. Then Narayanastra could fire millions of missiles parallelly. Pashupatastra, also a supernatural missile, when released, it can summon several monsters. And this astra is capable of destroying the whole world at a time. Vasavi Shakti is also a nuclear weapon which could destroy the enemies at large. So thus, we can see how Mahabharata has produced the great warriors. As Dr. Alladi sir was mentioning, that his grandparents used to pinch his ear and make him learn the text. But now here in this generation, whether it is at home or school, the kids should be pinched and should be taught this original Ramayana and Mahabharata. First of all, to know the abundance they possess. Whether they can be applicable or not, it is a later instinct. But first we should know our knowledge, what they possess, so that we can understand, and then we can then further think about the applicability in the modern world. So with this, I would like to conclude, and once again I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity.